What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's in the Blood. I'm Alex. This is Papa Blood. You probably know who we are by now. We're going to try to make some picks this week and do better than last week. Last week was a crazy week in the NFL. 6 games determined when the clocks were basically at 0. I went 8-6. He went 1 game ahead of me at 9-5. That's just the trend this year. He's going to win 1 more game than me no matter how good I do, and I have learned to accept that. Even if that means I get 10 of them right and he gets 11, I'd be happy to get 10 right, so that's what our goal is for this week. Before we get into the video, make sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, all that good jazz if you want to make picks alongside with us every week, or just follow what everybody in the Blood Fam's picks we're making. You can do that in the link below. All right, now that we got all of that out of the way, let's get into the video. Starting off, we've got our bye week teams. We got 4 teams taking a break. It's the Atlanta Falcons, the Colts, the Patriots, and the Saints. We will be seeing both of our teams now that mine is off of the bye. And starting on Thursday Night Football, we've got your boys, heading to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Bengals had a tough loss against a young Houston team, and Baltimore came off one of them tough losses at the last second as well against division rival Cleveland. How are you feeling about this matchup?
Better than I thought I would. Trey Hendrickson got good news today about his knee. He was a full participant, so it wasn't as bad as originally thought, which is very important. I want to talk that game against the Texans last week. That team was prepared. They hit hard. They played well. We did not play our best game, but we still had a chance to win going down the stretch. Really, that's all you can ask for when you're playing top-tier teams. I'm looking for a good rebound this week and hopefully win a tight game in Baltimore. Give me my Bengals on the road.
Man, this is one of them games that I just teetered on, but Thursday Night Football sneaks up on you, and so you got to make a decision. As a Chiefs fan, I'm 100% riding. I need your guys to win so I can hold on to that one spot a little bit longer. I think Cincinnati wants it a little bit more. It's going to be a tall task. I don't know how I feel about this, but I want the Bengals to win, so I am going to take the Bengals as well. This is Baltimore's game to lose. It's their home court. If any team in that division can go into Baltimore and convince me otherwise, out of the 3 options, I would take Cincinnati all 3 times you ask. Yeah, hesitantly give me the Bengals. On to the next game, we've got first 1 o'clock game of the week. We've got the Cardinals with Kyler Murray recently getting another win this year. I think that's their 2nd win. Heading into Houston to take on the Texans, who they did what they did last week. And we just talked about that a little bit, but CJ Stroud, man.
Yeah, that kid is unbelievable. Can't say enough good things about him. Can't say enough good things about the way the Houston Texans play defense. They go out and compete really hard. I really do. I'm going to pick Houston at home this week, but there's something about Kyler Murray and the way that he approached that game last week when I finally got to watch it in whole that says that they're a better team. They've competed really hard, and I think they can get the win here, but I'm still going with the home team because I like the way CJ Stroud is playing.
I was not a CJ Stroud believer. I was not a CJ Stroud supporter. It was the Tampa game for me. I'm going to be honest. He started his season off, his first NFL career start against the Ravens. We've seen what they've done this year, and he played a respectable game. You know, he's got his team above 500 in a conference that is a total bloodbath right now. The game against Tampa, he showed he can put up a 2-minute drive when he needs to put his team on his back. And then the game against Cincinnati, he kind of shocked the world even more, making some of the most unbelievable plays I've ever seen, especially from a rookie. Kyler Murray looked a lot better than I anticipated, like you said. He went right back to his mobility, which that was what I was leery of, him kind of being scared. So I'm with you 100%. I'm going to take the Texans at home. I'm going to ride with them until they have a meltdown. If they even do this season, I'm going to keep riding with them. But the Cardinals, this is a winnable game for you as well. But the Texans at home have played really, really well. So give me CJ Stroud, the rookie competing for MVP. Moving on to the next one, we've got an NFC North divisional matchup. We got the Bears heading to Detroit. I'll go ahead and go first here. Justin Fields is set to play in this game after missing 5 weeks or so. I think that is the sole factor that could make this game a little bit interesting for me, but there is nothing unless I just don't believe in the matchup, there's nothing I can do to pick against Dan Campbell and this Lions squad who have done a lot this year. And I picked the Lions to go start their season off 8-2, which nobody said in a long time.
Yeah, I'm with you. Detroit is, even when they're not firing on all cylinders, they put points on the board. Even when their defense plays a little suspect, they compete. Chicago just doesn't seem to have that extra to take over a game. They don't have that kill instinct yet. And going on the road to Detroit is going to be tough. Even with Justin Fields coming back, I still like the Lions at home. I'm going to call that my lock of the week.
It's really hard picking locks of the weeks against divisional matchups that are not the Cowboys and Giants. You know what? I like the faith that you have in this Detroit team. Something tells me in my gut that this is going to be just a weird game where the Bears at least hang in the first half, make it look like a potential upset and maybe a meltdown in the second half. I'm not going to sit here and disrespect this Bears team. I just don't think they're there yet. So I like this to be just another weird divisional matchup, but there's nothing in my brain that would allow me to pick against the Lions in this one. Moving on to our next, we've got the Cowboys coming off of last week's lock of the week against Tommy DeVito and the Giants, heading to Carolina to take on Bryce Young and the Panthers.
I hate Dallas on the road. They're one of these teams that I really don't like on the road. Carolina hasn't shown me yet against a good defense that they can really perform at an optimal level. Dak Prescott's playing decent football right now. I don't normally say that. Even if they play a bad game, I still say Dallas gets the win in Carolina.
Cowboys, like I said, decimated the Giants for the 12th time in a row, I think. The Panthers coming off of a heartbreaker on prime time last Thursday. They're a little bit extra rested. The Cowboys pretty much got the same amount of rest because their starters only played half a game. This is crazy to me because clearly right now the Panthers are the worst team in the league. But the last time the Cowboys faced the worst team in the league, it was the Arizona Cardinals, and they walloped them. Do I think that's going to happen 2 times in a row? No, but this is my wishful thinking. This is my upset pick of the week. I'm going to take the rookie Bryce Young to finally earn some respect. The point spread was 11 last time I checked. I don't trust 10-point or above spreads. I'm probably going to get burned on this one. Something tells me that they're kind of like Buffalo. They kind of play down to their opponent, and sometimes it bites them, and sometimes it's okay. This is my one reach of the week. But I still think it's possible because any given Sunday, Bryce Young, you're not a bad quarterback. You're just in a bad situation. Also, the play calling duties have been moved around in Carolina once again. So somebody else is going to change this up a little bit or have a little bit more input. So maybe we'll see a different approach to their offensive game here. We'll see what happens. I'm willing to eat this one if I'm wrong because the Cowboys are by far the superior team here. But I've seen too many instances this season where teams play down to their opponents and get their ass kicked.
Fair.
Moving on to the next one. We've got the LA Chargers heading to Lambeau to take on the Packers.
Yeah, another game that feels incredibly even to me.
Yeah. I
think that both teams are in really precarious situations. I do like the Chargers on the road here. I'm going to go with quarterback and running back combination. I just like them a little bit more. Give me the Chargers in Green Bay.
Oh, yeah. I go back and forth with both of these teams. These are two of those teams that I make weird decisions on week in and week out, and so them playing each other led me to a very tough decision to make. a day or two ago, I had one, then I switched to the other, and I've been switching back and forth. And so my final answer, I am going to take the Chargers on the road, but I feel like me switching back over to the Chargers, something's going to spark in Green Bay. They're starting to look a little better offensively, but I did watch how well the Chargers defense played against the Jets a couple weeks ago. It was almost inspiring to show some life in this Chargers team. We know what the offense is capable of, but seeing their defense play up to its potential really is like a turning pace. I would rather the Packers win this matchup personally, but I am going to take the Chargers on the road and just wishful thinking that Green Bay proves me wrong because they are starting to gel a little bit better. Moving on to the next one, we got a really strange matchup. We've got the 5-5 at 500 Las Vegas Raiders, who are breathing fresh air and living a new life, heading into Miami, coming off of a bye to take on the Dolphins.
Yeah, so fair enough to speak. Miami has horrible record against teams that have winning record. We were discussing before the video here. Miami is coming off a bye. Everybody's getting healthy on that team. Vegas has been riding the high of a couple wins with an interim head coach, Antonio Pierce. Hats off and kudos to you for motivating those guys. I think this task is a little tough for them with Miami coming off the bye. I think the Raiders compete. I think the Raiders play well, but I think Miami gets the dub.
Yeah, I mean, this point spread is even higher than the Panthers and Cowboys point spread, if you can
That's
believe
wrong.
that. It's at 13, where the Panthers were at plus 11. That sounds unbelievable to me. I don't think that's fair to either the Panthers or the Raiders here, just seeing that. This is one of them situations where do you take the Cinderella story or do you take the guys who have just already been there, the guys that are putting up numbers almost every week they've played, with the exception of a game or two. I can't in my right mind pick the Raiders. I will say that they have been completely disrespected, pointing this at a 13-point spread, probably the highest of the week if I had to guess, and that's incorrect. I am going to take the Dolphins at home. I don't think okay, I'm just going to say this. If the Raiders win this game, they might make it to the playoffs, honestly. If they can beat this red hot Dolphins team, I know they're coming off a loss against the Chiefs, but if they're going to make the playoffs somehow, they'll find a way. I will be completely inspired by them, although I don't want to see them there. But yeah, give me the Dolphins, man. I can't pick them, even though I've got a lot of faith in what they're doing over there in Vegas right now. Moving on to our next one, we've got the Tommy DeVito led Giants heading into Washington to take on the Commanders.
Yeah, so Washington historically does not play well against the Giants. They already lost to them once this year. But I'm back on I love Sam Howell. I've been up and down on picking them this year. Just different times I felt situations were different. But I don't think this Giants team has any direction. I think Sam Howell and that Eric Bieniemy led offense are starting to really come together and be very consistent. Giants got a good defense. I think Washington gets the win at home.
Yeah, I mean, I know they've lost a couple games they probably shouldn't have, and they lost a heartbreaker last week, one of them games. Picking the Giants against any team right now just feels wrong. Like they know they have problems. They've got an undrafted rookie quarterback. Could he win them a game or two? Yeah, he put up more points against the Cowboys than Daniel Jones did. Historically speaking, you're correct. The Giants usually play pretty well against the Commanders. I just like Sam Howell over Tommy DeVito here, and I can't pick any other way. I know it's a divisional matchup. It's whatever, but this is going to be a weird game, probably.
Agreed.
Moving on to the next. We've got the Steelers, who just keep winning, heading into Cleveland, who also just keeps winning, but this time they've got a rookie starting against the Steelers defense instead of PJ Walker.
Yeah, so sorry to hear about Deshaun's shoulder, honestly. He was actually starting to play football. He made me nervous about playing them later in the season, but he goes to IR, season-ending shoulder surgery. He was playing well, but then to go ahead and not start PJ Walker and go back with the rookie, I feel like Cleveland's that's a mistake for them. Pittsburgh, with their defense, they don't have to generate a lot of offense. They know this Cleveland team pretty well. When put up against better competition, a la the Raiders, the Ravens, they played really well. I like Pittsburgh on the road. I think Kenny Pickett has a solid game, and I think they win a very low-scoring affair, maybe like 3 field goals to 2, something like that. But give me the Steelers on the road.
The Browns have played really good at home. I think they're 4-1 in Cleveland, but I think that one come at the hand of their rookie that will be starting today. I almost want to continue to take Cleveland because they're just that find a way. They don't know, they don't care, they just keep finding a way to win all of these kind of improbable games for them to win. So
just like
part of
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but that's just it doesn't bother me when it's Cleveland. I have to make the decision to switch my pick over. I was until this morning when they announced that DTR was starting, I was all in on Cleveland winning this game. They still could somehow win this game because they've got a great defense and a respectful running game. They still could win this game, but I'm going to take Pittsburgh on the road. And I just want them to lose. Like, they won't stop winning. I know you feel the same way, but I just want them to lose.
Yes, I agree.
So I'm going to be rooting for Cleveland, but I'm going to pick Pittsburgh because I'm sorry, I don't trust that rookie right now. Moving on to the next, we've got the Titans heading to Jacksonville to take on the Jags. Titans last week lost to the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's kind of getting his feet up underneath of him. It's Will Levis. He is a rookie. There will be rookie struggles. They're not awful. They're not the worst team in the league. Going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who lost by 31 to the Niners.
Yeah, so basically, I'm going to give you a little insight here. And this game is going to determine a lot about how I pick the rest of the season. Jacksonville gets embarrassed off of the bye against a team that was going to come out firing. You knew San Francisco was going to hit the ground running in that game. But guess what they didn't do? They didn't fight back. They didn't show up. They just kind of let it happen and went on about the way. And I don't like that. They've got a game here that's very winnable. They've been embarrassed. 2 games in a row now they've lost, correct?
Just one.
Well, they got hammered by – I really feel like that if they don't rebound in this game and show that they're the best team in the AFC South, they may not be the best team in the AFC South. They might get passed up by Houston later on. Give me the Jacksonville at home, but I'm taking them on they got a very short leash with me right now.
I'm with you right now. Divisional matchup, it could be a weird, screwy game, just like a lot of these games, I feel like. Just like the Bears and Lions we talked about earlier. There's definitely a superior versus inferior team matchup right here. And I still feel like it could be kind of screwy, but I'm going to take Jacksonville. It's kind of like I said about Buffalo last week, sound the alarms if they lose this one. I know they're 6-3, they'd be 6-4. They're still contending. They're still in the lead in their division as of right now if they lost this game, but it's that you need to start to worry, start to hit that panic button. I don't know. It's a weird game. They need to win it. If they don't, there's going to be a lot of questions that need answered from them ASAP because their offense is great and their defense has played pretty well. Moving on to the next game, we just talked about the 49ers and the Buccaneers, but they just happen to be playing this week. I'll just go ahead and go first. This game is super weird to me. San Francisco's obviously played well at home with the exception to that Cincinnati game. Brock Purdy was injured, whether they want to talk about that or not. Cincinnati needed a win. They came out there and did what they needed to do to get their season back. I think this Buccaneers team, they're sitting at 4-5. I don't think they're bad, but I don't think they're good enough to take on the Niners right now. Because if the Niners put up half of what they did last week, it'll be enough to win this game this week. So I'm going to take San Francisco at home.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. San Francisco has definitely got their moxie back. I love the addition of Chase Young. I don't think it changes their defense a lot, but it just stabilizes the other side of that line, which was kind of a little bit of a problem. I'm not saying that they were bad over there, but Baker Mayfield doesn't traditionally do well in these big highfalutin matchups against teams that got really excellent defenses. He does struggle a little bit with the turnover at that point, but this one feels like another solid lock pick by picking San Fran. It's given me the idea of there's a couple games this week. I might parlay me a few teams on the money line.
Oh, I do that every week. I like Baker to make that game at least interesting. Just like the Bears, maybe not for 4 quarters, but I like Baker to keep his guys in it long enough to make it somewhat of a game. I just don't think they have enough. Could they pull off a crazy upset? I'd love to see it. Just because, we love chaos in here. The Blood fam loves chaos. Other than our Niners fans, they'd probably agree with us. I'd love to see it. I just don't. That's it. I just don't. Moving on to our next game. This is game of the week right here. We have got the Zach Wilson-led Jets heading into Buffalo, which doesn't even sound that scary anymore, to take on Josh Allen and the Bills.
You know what? 99% of the time, I just on these matchups, I'm going to pick against you, and I'm going to come up with a good reason to do so.
Go ahead. I love it.
I love the fact that Buffalo is in full panic mode. They fired their OC, but they still have the ability to put up points, and that's the one thing that this Jets team hasn't done for many different reasons, not just Zach Wilson. They cannot seem to put up points, and they end up turning the ball over at some time during the game. Give me Buffalo for the last time. If they don't win this one, I can't pick them no more.
First of all, this has nothing to do with me being the number one Zach Wilson fan in the world. I told everyone last week I did not know they played the Jets this week when I said that. I said if Buffalo loses that game to Denver, I have lost faith in them until they can prove me otherwise. So even if it was the Jets, it doesn't matter who else was going to play with them. I was going to pick against them this week because they are good at snowballing. Whether it's a good snowball or a bad snowball, it's what they've been consistent. That's the only consistent thing they've done this year is snowball a couple games and then bounce back the other direction, whichever way that may be. Listen, you can say what you want about the Bills, but they're 5-5, and the Jets are only one game behind that. The Jets beat the Bills in week 1 this year. It seems unlikely for the Jets to sweep them, but if there was any team in that division that I thought could sweep the Bills this year, it would be the Jets, because the Patriots can't do it, and Miami, they've got a chance to go 500, and I like that odds better than if at the beginning of the year telling me telling you they were going to sweep them. I don't know what it is. Zach Wilson has beat Josh Allen more times than any quarterback in that division currently. Like him or not, I'm obviously going to support him. This defense is playing well. They had a team-only personnel or player-only meeting. That's what happened to be the firing of Michael Carter. But I think something important happened in that meeting. They don't have those every week, but they did this week. I think these guys are going to find a way. But I like the Jets here with or without Zach Wilson. This Jets team has played well the last couple years against Buffalo. Moving on to the next one, we got another divisional matchup. This time in the NFC West, we've got the Seahawks heading to LA to take on the Rams. And I think Matthew Stafford's back.
Yeah, week 1, the Rams went to Seattle and got the win against the Seahawks, and that really messed me up because I did not think they would.
I think that messed a lot of us up.
I didn't think that they would be that kind of team this year. I think they're going to be a little rejuvenated having Matthew Stafford back under center at home. They seem to be able to play competitively on the defensive side regardless against Seattle. Against my better judgment, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams for the series sweep this year, take the Rams at home as an underdog.
The big difference in these two teams for me, the Rams, I think Matthew Stafford it was a hand injury. It's not like a shoulder. I think as long as his thumb is feeling good, it's not going to look that much different than before he got hurt, like in terms of the level of his playing. I like Puka Nacua. I like Cooper Kupp. I like what their defense is still trying to do this year. I am going to take Seattle on the road due to the fact that they just don't quit, man. And when it comes to these divisional matchups, it's real. This being a 1 point spread really shows how much of a coin flip this game is. Moving on to Sunday Night Football. I never in a million years thought this would be an exciting game to watch. We've got Josh Dobbs and the Minnesota Vikings heading to Denver to see if Russ can cook and take on the Broncos.
Yeah, I like both of these teams right now. They're both playing. Denver's getting better. Minnesota has found some footing and rejuvenation with Josh Dobbs. I think they're really playing good team ball. They've got a little bit of that Detroit vibe right now, how they're coming together as a unit. I like that a lot. I was really impressed with Russ the other night in Buffalo. I thought he did a really good job. He looked like the Russ of old. It's the best he's looked since he's been in Denver. And the conventional, everybody's kind of jumped on this Minnesota bandwagon. But other than that, Javonte Williams controlled that game the other night on the ground for Denver in Buffalo. And that was something that Russ really needed, a good 1-2 punch, having the running game. I'm going to take Denver at home. I really like them in this game. I think it's going to be a good one, but I do like the Broncos at home.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one a lot. This Minnesota team with Kirk Cousins, with Josh Dobbs, it hasn't really seemed to matter. They've just done things. They're like Pittsburgh. They just keep winning. And they're a really resilient football team. They have not had Justin Jefferson in 5 or 6 weeks. That is one of the number one guys in the league. And they are getting it done with what they have. Next man up. They really remind me a lot of Detroit right now. Detroit last season, I will say. And they just don't know how to give up. They don't know how to turn over. They don't know how to quit. And like you said, Denver, they made me happy for once this year. They did what they did on Monday Night Football against the Bills. It was the weirdest game I've ever watched, but they came out on top, and that's all that you can say. It's what goes in the column. It doesn't matter what happened in between. They won that game, and they've won now 2 or 3 in a row. So they seem to found their footing. They look a little bit more alive than they have the last year and a half. And so I like both these teams. I know Mile High is really hard to play, but I don't think it matters where Josh Dobbs plays because he just kind of gets thrown around and puts his best foot forward each and every week, no matter what city he's in. And so I'm going to take the Vikings solely because defensively they've played better.
Let's go.
Moving on to the last and final game. Talk about a 50-50 ball game. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles head into town to take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Well, I don't know. I'm going to let you go. I'm still trying to find thoughts about this one.
Yeah, so this game is probably might be the most.
This might be the most watched game all season, honestly.
It might be the most regular season watched game all year this year. I really think that they absolutely nailed it by putting this one on Monday Night Football. I really like what both of these teams are doing for the most part. And I'll start with Kansas City. The defense has been on fire. And if anybody can slow down Philadelphia's offense, it's this defense. They've been top 5 in most categories. Since Chris Jones got with the team, they're playing lights out. Kansas City's offense has not necessarily found its footing, but Philadelphia's defense has been a little bit suspect in the middle of the field. I like the Mahomes-Kelsey matchup in this one. I also think that there's room for Pacheco to have a really good game as well. the need for the wide receivers not going to be as great in this game because I think they're going to be checking the ball down a lot faster because of this Philadelphia pass rush.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the Chiefs at home. I think it's gonna wake up the Kansas City offense, and they're gonna have to put up 30 points.
Oh, man, I hope you're right. I hope something happens. They need it. The last game that they looked respectably like high scoring, like their old self, was against the Bears, where they put up I think 41. I don't even count that game in terms of the whole season because they are averaging, they've gotten their average up to about 22, 23 points a game, which is better than it had been. But the thing that I love about this team right now the most, like you said, is the defense. We're only allowing like 15 points a game all season long. That's our average. This is the best defense Patrick Mahomes led team has ever had. I think they'll show up for Monday Night Football, primetime in the lights. But what I will say, my big concern is this might be a dumb thing to say, but I feel like the Chiefs use primetime games as like a practice field. Like the whole world's watching, so let's see what kind of dumb, cute stuff we can pull on primetime. I don't know why, but it just feels like they always want to do the trick play, and they always want to. And this is not the game for that. So maybe they'll prove me wrong and not do anything stupid. I'm still gonna take the Chiefs, but I'm not gonna neglect what Philadelphia has done this year. They've got the best record in the league. They're putting up 28 to 30 points a game. Their defense is only allowing 21 or 22 per game. But the difference in these two teams' defenses is yards allowed. The Chiefs don't allow nearly as many yards as the Eagles have given up this season. So that's where I think there's a bright spot in that we will be able to throw the football, maybe not efficiently all game long, but there will be holes that are open. Also, our injury report is clean for this one. And the Eagles, Jalen Hurts popped up on it, Dallas Goedert's on it, Nakobe Dean, a couple other guys. And so that's something. Jalen Hurts dealing with a knee injury is something to keep an eye on. I don't know how severe it is. I don't follow them enough.
Let me leave it with this. This will be a great measuring stick for what Kansas City is going to look like in the playoffs. I really think. I think
or the turning point. Or the turning point.
I think it's one of those games that's going to say, hey, they are ready for the playoffs, even though their offense has been a little slow starting. They're ready for it, or we might find out that there's a glaring weakness. If there's something wrong with that team, we'll find out this Monday night.
Anyways, that's all we got for today. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, all that good jazz. If you want to make picks, the link's right down there. It's ready to go for you. If you want to join our Discord and share some memes and talk some smack and all of that other good stuff, the link for our Discord's also in the description. So come hang out with us. We're usually in there most every day. But you got anything before we hang up the cleats?
Nervous about tomorrow. We're going to start the game. We're going to start the week with nerves, and then we're going to end the week with nerves.
Pow pow, 1-2 punch. All right, well, that's all we got for you. We'll see you guys for Thursday Night Football. Like I said, show this video some love. Come see us on Thursday. Let us know what you think, and peace.
I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go.